Hey everyone, today we're doing the last piece of graphing these trig functions, which is the phase shift. And we got a little bit of an intro to this during our Desmos activity. And the phase shift is moving the graph to the left and right in the y direction. So let's just go over our equations, our general formulas. So we have y equals a sine w times theta plus phi, and then plus b. So that new piece is the phi. And so the a, we know, is the amplitude, and you find that by doing the absolute value of a. The period for tangent and cotangent is the pi divided by w formula. The period for sine, cosine, secant, and cosecant is 2 pi divided by w. The vertical shift is the b value. And now to find the phase shift, you do that by phi divided by w. And if phi is a positive number, you're going to move it to the left. And if it's a negative number, you're going to move it to the right. So let's practice graphing one of these. So in this first example, we have an amplitude of 3. So the absolute value of 3 equals 3, which is our A. Our W equals 2. So to find the period, this is a sine graph. So we're going to do 2 pi divided by 2, which equals pi. And then we have the phase shift of the minus pi. So the phi value equals negative pi. And since it's negative, remember that means we're actually going to go to the right, pi. So move right. And then to find the phase shift, we do phi divided by w. So phi is pi. So pi, negative pi divided by 2. So this is going to shift pi to the 2 to the right, the whole graph. So your first step is to graph without the phase shift. So step 1, graph without phase shift. Then step 2, you're going to shift every point right or left based on your phase shift. So shift every point right or left based on the phase shift. Okay, so now let's graph this. I'm going to graph it first with our period of pi. So I'm going to graph the sine function with a period of pi and an amplitude of 3. So if we have a period of pi, it is pi. And then remember, we have the points pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. Everything's getting divided by 2. So that'd be 3 pi over 4, pi over 2, and pi over 4. And then it has the amplitude of 3. And then remember, sine goes through the origin. So we're going to go up, down, up. Okay. Now we're going to do the phase shift. So we're going to move to the right, pi over 2. So instead of this starting at 0, we're shifting everything pi over 2. So now it's going to start at pi over 2. So I'm just going to draw that same, I'm going to do it in pink. So now we start at pi over 2, go up, down through pi, and then over. And then if we just continue our pattern, we would look like this. And so now we just need to label that end point down here. And remember, this is like subintervals of pi over 4. So I'm going to continue this. So pi plus pi over 4, which is pi over 1. So 4 pi over 4, that is 5 pi over 4. And then 5 pi over 4 plus pi over 4 equals 6 pi over 4. And so that pink line is our final graph. So pink final graph. Okay, let's try this next one. So we have 2 cosine 4x plus 3 pi plus 1. So we have every transformation in this one. So our a equals 2. So the absolute value of 2 equals 2. So our amplitude is 2. We have a w of 4, and this is cosine. So to find the period, it's 2 pi divided by w, which equals pi over 2. We have a phi, and this is just a Greek letter, phi. Phi equals 3 pi, and it's positive, so it's actually going to move in the left direction. And remember to find the phase shift, that is phi over w. So 3 pi over 4. Our b is 1, so we have a phase shift of up 1, which is considered our vertical shift. Vertical shift. Okay. Now let's go and graph this. So I'm going to start with using cosine up 1. And so this is 1, 0, 2. And so cosine would start now at 2, go down to 0, and back up to 2. And then this is pi over 2, then pi, and then 3 pi over 2 and 2 pi. Alright, next we are going to do the amplitude. So this has an amplitude of 2. So now we are going to add 2 up and down. So now if we're still starting at 1, an amplitude of 2 would go 0 into -1, and then 2, and then 3. And then we're just going to draw that same graph now with a taller graph. So pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. And then we're going to start at 3 now. Go down to 1. And then back up to 2 pi. And so this is with our amplitude of 2 and our vertical shift. Now we're going to do the period. So we went from 2 pi to pi over 2. So each thing is getting divided by 4. So we're going to do the same thing. It's still going to be from -1 to 3. That's 1, that's 2. But now we're at pi over 2. If we do 3 pi over 2 and then divide it by 4, we're multiplying it by 1/4, and that equals 3 pi over 8. Pi divided by 4 is pi over 4, and then pi divided by 2, pi over 2 times 1/4 is pi over 8. So I'm going to draw the same graph with our new subintervals. Down, back up. Okay, and lastly we have the phase shift. So our phase shift is 3 pi over 4. So we need to figure out where is 3 pi over 4 on this graph. So 3 pi over 4 is bigger than pi over 2. So let's figure out using our interval to find out where 3 pi over 4 is. So we have pi over 2, and it looks like our interval is pi over 8. So we're going to add pi over 8. We need a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply the first one by 4 on the top and bottom. So 4 pi over 8 plus pi over 8 is 5 pi over 8. And then 5 pi over 8 plus pi over 8 is 6 pi over 8. These equals 6 pi over 8, which can be simplified to 3 pi over 4. So 3 pi over 4. So we're shifting each of these, because if we look at pi over 2, and we're moving over to that 3 pi over 4. So this is how many? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're moving this 6 over. So we're really starting here at this graph now, at that pi over 4. So I'm going to redraw this down here. Or we can do it with our pink graph again, pink line. So we're really starting at pi over 4, and I'm going to need some more points. I'm going to keep adding that pi over 4, so I will draw this down below. So 3 pi over 4, or 6 pi over 8. Keep that common denominator for now. 6 pi over 8 plus pi over 8 is 7 pi over 8. So 7 pi over 8. 7 pi over 8 plus pi over 8 is 8 pi over 8, which is pi. And then pi over 8, pi over 8 plus pi over 8 is 9 pi over 8. And now we'll have a full rotation period. So let's draw. I'm going to shrink all this side work for us and put it down below. Move this over too. That's all our scratch work down there. And so I'm going to go add in that pink graph. We're starting at pi over 4. And then we'll just fill in our pattern. So starting at pi over 4, I'm going to add in our dotted line following across. Start at pi over 4. We would go down, up, and back. So if you follow that pattern, we would end up getting something like that. So our pink graph is our final graph. Let me know if you have any questions, and then we'll just keep